Welcome in to another episode of my Dynasty Fantasy Football YouTube. Today I'm looking at Dynasty buys. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let's go. Our first buy, Garrett Wilson. Now, the reason why he's a buy is I just can't shake the idea that Wilson is an elite receiver. He feels like one of the biggest buy lows in all of Dynasty. Last week, he had 5 catches for 33 yards and touchdown on 9 targets in week 3. And for the year, he has 15 catches, 150 yards, and a touchdown on 26 targets, averaging just under 9 targets a game, similar to his previous seasons. Now, why do I have Garrett Wilson as a dynasty buy? Target share, good advanced stats, and he still feels like an elite option. I know it's been frustrating, but I'm still pretty much all in on Garrett Wilson. This year, 28.3% target share, 13th among wide receivers. That is elite level numbers. 26.3% target rate this year, 21st among wide receivers. That's, again, really, really good. He's played a 93.9% snap share and has a 100% route run participation. This is an elite wide receivers usage. It is on every level. There's no questions. Oddly enough, we all said that the quarterback play would be an improvement, but he's had struggles with the quarterback play this year. Despite playing with Aaron Rodgers, just 65.4% of his targets have been catchable, 62nd among wide receivers. And because of that, he has 12.2 fantasy points per game, which is not great, compared to 18.1 expected fantasy points per game. Now, if he had 18.1 fantasy points per game, no one would be complaining about Garrett Wilson. That would be really good. So these numbers just show that it's not quite going his way this year. But I am beyond confident that it will turn around. Wilson had 147 targets in 2022 and 168 targets in 2023. These are elite numbers. He had a 30.1% target share last year. Most wide receivers that earn those types of targets early in their career are Hall of Fame type players. Not good, not, pretty good. They're the elite of the elite to earn those types of targets early in their careers. And Garrett Wilson, I don't think is an exception. I don't think Garrett Wilson is, a bust or anything. It's not like we were projecting a jump in usage like Drake London or someone like that. He already had the target share. We just needed more to come on those targets. Now, surprisingly, there's a lot of ways to acquire Wilson. So I have a few trades here. They're all from the Dynasty Daddy trade database. The first one, buy Garrett Wilson for Joe Mixon and Bucky Irving. Yes, this is real. It's a smash, except I get it. Bucky Irving is interesting, but I would smash Garrett Wilson here. It's not a hard decision. The next one, buy Garrett Wilson in a 25-second for Sam Laporta in a 25-third tight end premium league. I would prefer Wilson still, straight up. I have some concerns with Laporta. Laporta might be a buy too, but even in tight end premium, I would prefer Wilson, let alone with an extra pick. And then this last one, now, Malik Neighbors is not a sell, but Garrett Wilson, 25 first and 26 first for Malik Neighbors. Yes, Malik Neighbors is an amazing player. Is he worth Garrett Wilson plus 2 firsts? No, I'm not sure really almost any player is outside of maybe Josh Allen in Superflex. Maybe that might be it. It's hard for a player to be this valuable. That just one single player cannot be this valuable. So I would absolutely take the Garrett Wilson side with the 2 firsts here. Now, my next buy player, Trevor Lawrence. And I get it. It seems crazy, but it does happen. Quarterbacks go through bad stretches like this and bounce back all the time. Yes, Lawrence was awful on prime time in week 3. 21 of 38 passing, 178 yards, touchdown, interception, 4.7 yards per attempt. He was benched for Mac Jones during the game. There's no denying this was an awful game. But weeks 1 and 2, while they were bad, were not horrible like this week was. In the first 2 weeks, Lawrence was 26 of 51 for 382 yards, touchdown, 7.5 yards per attempt. Still struggling with accuracy. That has been a problem all year. But he managed a solid yards per attempt, and he also added 3 carries for 53 yards. Now, why do I have Trevor Lawrence as a dynasty buy? I think he's overhated at this point. He has an extremely ironclad contract, and there's an opportunity to turn it around after Doug Peterson is inevitably fired as the head coach. Now, Lawrence isn't going to be the super elite quarterback that his prospect profile said he would. And I think there's no nuance anymore. It's, well, he's not what we expected, so he's bad. But that's not how it works. Yes, he struggled this year. And he wasn't good in 2021. Wasn't good as an understatement. He was horrible in 2021 as a rookie with Urban Meyer. But in 2022 and 2023, Lawrence was a solid franchise quarterback. 2022, whole season, 66.3% completion, 25 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 7 yards per attempt, 241.9 passing yards a game. Those are high-end starter numbers. Nothing in there says bad quarterback. Nothing at all. He was a really good quarterback in 2022. In 2023, he struggled with injuries, but still had 65.6% completion, 21 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, 7.1 yards per attempt, and 251 passing yards per game. Lawrence is blamed because the Jaguars lost games. But we know that quarterback wins are not everything, especially for fantasy. It really doesn't matter. Numbers-wise, he was still a middle-of-the-road starting quarterback in 2023. Not a backup, not bad. Clearly, he was one of the 20 best quarterbacks in the league just last year. And Lawrence signed a massive contract through 2030 with $200 million in total guarantees. There's no way out of this contract for the Jaguars. No, not really. I mean, they can escape it in the first few days of the 2027 league year and take a massive cap penalty at that point. But before that, they really can't. So really, they're committed to him for at a minimum through 2026, probably 2027. Lawrence is going to be there, even after they fire Doug Peterson and replace him with a new head coach. Peterson was an improvement over Meyer, of course. Anyone would have been. But things have gone stale, I think, for the Jaguars. And I think that's why it's not going so well. Now, Trevor Lawrence is easy to buy in Superflex leagues. 3 trades here. Number 1, buy Trevor Lawrence for Sam Darnold and Blake Corum. Yes, Sam Darnold is playing well right now. He also played well during that stretch on the Panthers. Remember that? Everyone thought he would be a quarterback again, and then it was not really there. So I would easily take Trevor Lawrence here. He already has an ironclad contract, which we hope Sam Darnold might get next year, possibly. I still don't see that happening. I think Sam Darnold is more of a bridge starter. I like him, but I would take Trevor Lawrence in Superflex here easily. The next one, Trevor Lawrence, you could buy him for Christian McCaffrey. Now, Christian McCaffrey, who knows when he might ever come back? I have no idea. But he's a 28-year-old running back in a Superflex league. You're going to have Trevor Lawrence as a valuable Superflex asset when Christian McCaffrey is probably not in the NFL anymore. So I would easily rather have Trevor Lawrence here in Superflex. I find this hard to believe that this was done when Christian McCaffrey is injured. And then this last one, buy Trevor Lawrence for 25 third and 26 first. In any Superflex format, I would still easily take Trevor Lawrence here. His value has fallen, but not this far. So I'm still in on Trevor Lawrence at all of these prices. Now, if you like my YouTube content, you should sign up for the Patreon. You get my rankings, access to the Discord, and the ability to ask in advance questions for the YouTube videos. Tiers begin at just $6 a month and include all of that. If you want to know more about the Patreon, check out both of my why you should join the Patreon videos on the channel. They describe everything I'm offering in detail. I really appreciate everyone who signed up and any new patrons who join. Remember that joining the Patreon keeps the YouTube channel going. The YouTube channel does not really make any money. It is not a profitable YouTube channel. I had to buy this new mic. It cost money. The patrons are what's paying for that. If the Patreon does not continue to grow, I don't know what's going to happen to the YouTube channel because it's not going to survive on its own without the patrons. So if you're a patron, just remember how much you're keeping this YouTube channel in existence. And I appreciate everyone for that. With that said, we're going to jump into our next player. So our next player, Jonathon Brooks. Now, Brooks might be out of sight and out of mind, which presents opportunity. Of course, Brooks has no stats because he hasn't played in the NFL this year, but the college stats are excellent. At Texas, in his final year, 187 carries, 1,139 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 25 catches, 286 yards and touchdown in 11 games. He was really, really good. And why do I have him as a dynasty buy? Well, strong college profile, good draft capital, youth, and the Panthers offense looking better under Andy Dalton. We know that Brooks was the clear running back one in this class without the injury, and the Panthers selected him with the 46th overall pick in the second round. No other running back went in the second round. He was well ahead of the other guys who mostly have not looked all that great outside of some flashes from maybe Bucky Irving and Braylon Allen. But clearly, I think Brooks would still be the first running back taken if we did the draft over today. Brooks doesn't even turn 22 years old until July 2025. So youth, which is what matters for a running back for dynasty value, is on his side. And Chuba Hubbard has 37 carries, 192 yards, 5.2 yards a carry, and 9 catches, 67 yards, and a touchdown through the air in 2024. Now, some might say that that's a concern for Brooks when he returns because, well, Hubbard's going to get mixed in. But I'd say it's more that a Panthers running back can be successful in this offense. Hubbard's best game was in week 3 with Dalton as the starter. Nobody's expecting Brooks to be a workhorse immediately off the ACL tear. But we see that a running back can succeed here, which I think is optimistic for Brooks. Now, what would I pay to get Jonathon Brooks? It's a good time to buy him. People are desperate for players that will play now, and you'll see that in these 3 deals. Number 1, buy Jonathon Brooks for Cam Akers, Jalen Naylor, and 25-second. I mean, that's a bunch of garbage for Brooks. I love this deal. This is obviously smash, except buy Jonathon Brooks and Bucky Irving for Travis Etienne. I mean, look, Travis Etienne, he's okay. He's a fine player. Doesn't excite me. He's over 4 years older than Brooks. I don't think there's really any upside long-term with Travis Etienne. We know what he is. He's a high-end RB2. That's what Etienne is. Bucky Irving is coming on strong, and you get Brooks. So this is an easy deal. I would easily take the Brooks side here. And then lastly, kind of similar to the Akers deal, buy Jonathon Brooks for J.K. Dobbins in 25-second. Yes, I love what J.K. Dobbins is doing now. J.K. Dobbins has been through multiple devastating injuries. J.K. Dobbins is 4.5 years older than Brooks. I don't buy that it's going to last. I would easily rather just have Brooks here, value-wise. Now, I have some Patreon questions, which is one of the big benefits of signing up for the Patreon. You get to ask these advanced questions for the YouTube channel and decide a bit of what I talk about on here. So we'll jump into them now. We've seen guys like Mark Andrews, Michael Pittman, and Rachaad White lose value as the season has gone on. Who do you think is the guy at risk of joining that list? Well, it's Mike Evans. Mike Evans is already 31 years old. He has just 15 targets in 3 games this year. I told you that Mike Evans was not going to age well. I told you that this was not a player that we wanted to hang on to. I told you this was not a player that we can trust. And here we are, not being able to trust him. But people will not realize it because he's already scored 2 touchdowns. People are excited for that. Fantasy points. Woo. Not woo. Not woo. We don't want Mike Evans. I would sell Mike Evans now. The value is never going to come back. So he is number 1 player on that warning, 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 red alert, 5-alarm fire list is Mike Evans. Just your thoughts on Anthony Richardson outlook. Seeing a lot of trades today, 2 offers in the inbox, hard to trust. Now, Richardson has not looked as hopeless as someone like Bryce Young, but I'm starting to get a little bit concerned that the accuracy is not improving. He was not accurate in college. He was not accurate this year. He's not accurate really last year. He's not accurate even in practice. He's not accurate at all. I do think the Colts spent a high pick on him. He's the clear starter for this year. He'll be the starter to open next year. But I have no confidence that Richardson is a franchise quarterback or has earned a contract extension. He's not like a generational prospect. He's not going to get a contract extension just because. So the upside is really immense. It's hard to fade him too far, but I'm a little concerned, and I'm not, his value is not as high as it was. Lastly, has Brian Thomas met or exceeded your expectations thus far? Thomas has 11 catches, 189 yards, touchdown, 17 targets, 3.7 catches, and 63 yards a game. That's actually pretty good. So I would say that's exceeding expectations. Usually, he was not a clear, obvious elite prospect like Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison. So it usually takes those types of players a bit to adjust. His value is increased. He's already clearly the Jaguars wide receiver 1. So I would say moderately exceeding expectations on Brian Thomas. Now, if you liked the video, make sure to drop a like and leave a comment with your thoughts. As always, the best way to support the channel is to subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notifications bell so you can be notified about all my exciting content as it drops. Of course, if you want my best fantasy football advice, it's available on the Patreon, Dynasty, Start Sit, Redraft, and more. And every sign-up helps support my independent content on YouTube. But once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all later.